Hi guys, welcome to this week's edit. It's the round 21 game review versus the Crows. Obviously, it was a pleasing result for us. The conditions were a little bit difficult. Obviously, it was wet over there. Probably the thing that didn't quite show up on TV. The grass was obviously quite slippery, but more importantly, the ground underneath was quite firm. So it was like playing on a bit of a chunk of ice. In effect, we had a number of players falling over. We couldn't quite find the right boots, and I've been speaking to some Adelaide players and Port Adelaide players, and they've been finding the same thing, just especially when it rains, just trying to find the right footwear. So, yeah, we got through with a result which was pleasing. So let's just go to some questions. What was the reason behind Lennon being subbed in so late? Was it because of the Crows' run or forgetting about him, from Paul? No, Paul, it wasn't about forgetting about Ben. It was we speak about it at halftime. We look at likely subs. We speak about it halfway through the third quarter, then at three-quarter time, and at that stage we couldn't quite find a person that was, not going to a required level. At the end of the day, we ended up taking Batch off, one of our defenders. It was probably going to be a back at that stage because it was wet. We weren't in trouble with tall defenders, so it wasn't that we forgot him at all. It was just a matter of finding out who was a player to come off. And Ben, to his credit, actually put himself in the right position a number of times, but unfortunately, when you come into a game in that much heat in those conditions, you're probably a little bit fumbly, as Ben was. But you can see by this kick to Dustin, he got the score assist from that bit of play there. So, look, he'll contribute and hopefully keep his spot this week. We'll obviously have that selection this weekend, but that was the reason for that one. Good question. The next one, the players seem to be taking the game on a lot more so than earlier in the year. Is it a directive or confidence? That's another good point. Belief in football is an amazing factor, and you coaches speak about it a lot of the time. Confidence obviously being the same, but for us that's the big one. It's the ability to trust your instinct. Normally our players play the best when they play on field. We've obviously got some things that we have in place about how to play the game, but generally those things fall in line with what a player thinks. So the thing that has been evident is our players have grown in confidence, and they will continue to do so as we win more games. So we're starting to play a brand of football that is more like the brand of football that we played last year. I think it's personally better. So nothing has changed from a game plan point of view. It's just the ability of the players to actually adhere to what they are performed, required to do. So, we haven't made a directive at all to play a more, offensive brand of footy. They've just taken it upon themselves to play the way we wanted them to play. And, it's a great kick from Nick, and this is the match-winning goal to Nathan Gordon, I think, this bit of play here. So you watch him running him. We've taken a call in him Red Dog because he just runs all day, run another 16 kilometres on the weekend. So he's an important player for us. So that's a good question. Players forward, do you tell the likes of Dusty, Koch and Lids to push forward, or do they rotate themselves? That's from Daniel. Look, it's a little bit of both, Daniel. We generally direct them at certain stages to push down deep if we find we can get a favourable matchup, but a lot of the times we have a certain amount of rotations that we like to get in when our players do go deep. So Koch and Dusty and Brett know when they're a little bit tired, they will push forward. We've got pretty lucky at that with our side. They've got the ability to do that. So they've both, I think they've all kicked, I think Dusty's kicked over 20, I think Brett's maybe kicked 13 or 14, and Trent's probably about the same. So we're sort of hoping if we can get 20 goals out of each of those players, that's, in effect one player down there at most of the time. It adds up to 60. So they generally do that pretty much themselves for the majority of the time. They know they're required down there, so it's something we look at from there. So look, obviously that's three really good questions this week. The boys had a good result. Obviously got a really important game versus the Saints this week. We're back at home, Sunday 4:40, although not an ideal time slot. Let's make sure we get there and support us as much as we can. Hopefully it's not our last game at the G, but let's make sure we get there and support our boys. They've been terrific. They're really proud of what they've managed to turn their season around, but let's make sure we continue that and get there to support us on the weekend. We'll see you soon.